Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. I have an adorable shaker card featuring Picket Fence Studios, Penguins Wanna Have Fun, and Glacier scenery. These two sets go perfectly together. I decided that I was going to do my shaker window with the stamped image of the glacier on vellum paper. The vellum paper is slightly oversized and I've laid it out in landscape orientation. I'll be trimming that down later. The image is going to be stamped with a Distress Oxide ink tumbled glass. This is a beautiful icy blue, but it is quite light, so I stamp it about 3 times and then I'm going to coat it with clear embossing powder to give it some shine. After I've melted the embossing powder, I've decided that I want to give that stamped image just a little bit more dimension so it stands out. So I pop it back into my MISTI, I re-stamp it with the blue ink, and then emboss it a second time. Pale blue with the shiny finish in combination with the vellum is really perfect for this glacier. It actually makes you feel cold just looking at it. The background for this card is being done on Bristol Smooth cardstock. Again, it's slightly oversized and I'll be cutting it down later. I'm continuing to work with Distress Oxide inks, but I've switched over to the cubes because I have this awesome ink stand. It literally frees up one of your hands because when you're picking up ink, you do not have to hang on to the ink pad at all. The horizon is masked very simply with some Post-it note tape. The sky has been created with a combination of tumbled glass and evergreen bough, and the ocean is salty ocean and peacock feathers. Using one of the larger sizes of life-changing blender brushes, and so the background is inked up very quickly. For the ocean, I'm just randomly applying the ink and then going back in with the secondary color and blending it out. I have a sticky pad insert in my MISTI and I'm going to be repeat stamping this adorable pair of penguins from Penguins Wanna Have Fun. I'll be doing just a touch of Copic coloring to add some definition, but I want the solid black portion of the penguins to be as black as I can get it. There's enough room on this scrap piece of white cardstock, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment Hugs from Afar, also from the same stamp set. I'm going to do it in a combination of salty ocean and evergreen bough. The sentiment is clear embossed. I'm using 4 Copic markers to color the penguins. Primarily, I'll be working with soft grays, W1, W0, and 0. These are very light colors. The darkest gray, I apply some flicking motions down each side of the penguins. This gives them a rounded appearance. To add a little bit more definition between the head and the body, I take the gray in just a little bit further at the neck area. Then I just simply blend it out with the W0 and the 0 and add a little bit of YRO2 on the beak. Fast and easy, but that little bit of coloring just gives those penguins some shape. Use the coordinating die to cut the penguins and then trim the sentiment down. And now to put the shaker together. The coordinating die for Glacier Scenery stamp set was used to cut the shaker window. When liquid adhesive is applied to the back of the panel, I make sure that the adhesive goes up to the edge of the window, leaving a little bit of room for that glue to spread. The embossed image on the vellum is lined up with the opening on the background. The panel is trimmed down to card front size, 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I'm actually not trimming any of the cardstock off the top of the card. I'm just taking off the overhanging vellum because my opening is fairly close to the edge. The 4-inch height will be achieved by trimming off the bottom of the card. The Glacier is centered when the sides of the panel are trimmed to the 5¼ inch width. Because of the irregular shape of the shaker window, I'm going to be cutting the foam that I'm using into strips. I start off by placing the foam around the perimeter of the panel. I want the shaker material to be contained to the window, so now I'm going to take strips of foam and I'm going to follow the outline shape of the Glacier to close it off from the rest of the panel. The panel strips are flexible and this is easy to do. I just make sure that when I'm laying down the foam that I'm staying a little bit away from the window's edge so it cannot be seen. And I do check periodically just to make sure. And in goes the last little piece of foam. When I make shakers, I like to create the shaker portion of the card as an independent panel. I just find it easier to work with. I'm going to use my MISTI as a nice right angle so that I can get the back of the panel on straight. The foam insert has been removed so that my panel with all of its foam backing is sitting lower than the edges of the MISTI. For my shaker material, I'm using a gorgeous sequin mix called Skylight. The back panel is the same size as the front panel, 4 inches by 5¼ inches. I simply take it and push it up into the corner of my MISTI and then lay it down onto the foam for a perfect fit. The shaker will be mounted onto a black mat that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inches. Both the sentiment and the penguins will be adhered to the card front with foam. The card front is adhered to a top folding landscape-oriented card base that is A2 size. To add some more love to this card, I've pulled out some of those cute blue clay hearts from the sequin mix that was used for the shaker material, Skylight, to add around the penguins. The Glacier stamp set also comes with 2 smaller Glaciers, which I've stamped in the tumbled glass on vellum and then clear embossed just like the main Glacier. I'm using the die cut from the shaker window and I've just covered it with a wide piece of double-sided tape. The vellum Glaciers are popped on top and then I use the coordinating dies to die cut them. After the vellum die cuts are mounted on the blue ones with the double-sided tape, they are popped up with some foam and added as accents to the card front. This card will be finished up with pops of shine, lots of them. Continuing with the same sequin mix, but this time I'm pulling all of the clear ones. The clear sequins pick up the pretty blue background that they're sitting on. Each sequin is topped up with Nouveau Crystal Drops Morning Dew. Morning Dew dries clear and they look like beautiful chips off of an iceberg. This shaker card was so much fun to make, featuring Picket Fence Studios, Penguins Wanna Have Fun, and Glacier scenery. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate your visit.